Welcome to This Is My Space, the podcast that takes you on a wild ride through the crowded mind of author MC Castile, affectionately known as Mac. She's not your typical host. Whether it's the inspiration behind her novels or diving headfirst into religion, politics, or aging, Mac ventures where others won't. For her, it's about creating a space where voices can be heard, opinions can clash, and ideas can flow. She's here to ignite curiosity within you while offering a refreshing perspective on the world we live in. Sit back, hold on, and tune in for Mac's latest episode.
Hey, it's Mac, and I think I might have oversold myself with that intro. Anyway, here's what's different about this podcast from the other political podcasts. I'm here because I care about everybody. We're part of the same community, and I care about you. I don't care what political affiliation you checked on your voter registration. I don't care if you're liberal. I don't care if you're conservative. I don't care if you're progressive. I don't care. You get to choose for yourself who you are and what you believe. And regardless of that, I'm still going to care about you because I believe we're all part of a bigger community. And at the end of the day, if we all sat down and talked, we'd probably find something in common. So I'm here to advocate for you as much as I'm here to advocate for myself and my neighbors and my kids and all of the things. Okay. So I don't want people to accuse me of being leaning one way or the other when in actuality, I care about humanity. All right. So all of that being said, let's get down to it. Let's talk about what's going on. Okay. Now, I had somebody leave me a fairly nasty comment, and this person clearly watches Fox, right? So Fox is a propaganda station, and it's owned by Rupert Murdoch. The Wall Street Journal is also also owned by Rupert Murdoch. And I would encourage anybody who cares about what's going on right now to Google Rupert Murdoch. And when you do that, you're also going to find out that he sued 3 of his 5 kids in order to try to undo a irrevocable trust that says that when he dies, his 4 older children actually control the propaganda empire. So he lost at least the first round of litigation on that. And his intent was to keep his propaganda empire right-leaning, quote unquote, after he's dead. And why? Because it's more profitable. But to call it right-leaning is really a lie. It's not even a conservative network. I mean, I was raised by a conservative Republican, and I can honestly tell you he did not understand that every vote that he cast, from Ronald Reagan on, was to make rich people richer. He didn't understand that. And so these rich people have co-opted the term conservative, and it's not their label. It's not true. And really, to say that they're right-leaning isn't true. What they're really doing is using it as a cover for the fact that their goal is to make rich people richer. And we're not talking about millionaires making a billionaires. We're talking about billionaires like picking up a second or third or fourth yacht. Rupert Murdoch had no reason to file that lawsuit. He's got at least 6 kids, I think maybe 6 or 7. And the younger 2 are from a different relationship. So the first 4 are from 2 different women. And then the younger 2 are from a third woman. The younger 2 don't have any say in what goes on with the empire. They just got checks in the last year or so in the billions because he sold off some of his propaganda. Billions. So for him to go to court and say that, it was better for the family financially to stay a propaganda network because it's going to be more beneficial financially is a lie. They already have more money. I mean, we're talking about 20 somethings that have just gotten checks for billions of dollars. Okay. 20 somethings. It's a lie. They have more wealth in that family than they can spend in generations. And it's the same thing with Bezos. Now, I don't know how much of Zuckerberg's, sorry, not, what did I just call him? Anyway, I don't know how much his wealth is real. I know that Musk's wealth is really predicated on the shares of Tesla more than anything. And if you don't know this, he's in a lot of trouble financially because Tesla stock is what was used to secure the loans to procure Twitter. And as soon as he took over Twitter, he tanked the value. So he paid more than what it was actually worth within like the first week. Now, so the loans are predicated on Tesla stock, and Tesla stock, the value of it is plummeting, which means that if it drops below a certain point, those loans could get called in and he could have absolutely nothing. So again, this idea that he's the richest man on earth is unequivocally not true. And it's all predicated on Tesla stock. So that's why Elon Musk was crying this week. Like people are openly talking about how he was crying. And that's what led to the car commercial that Trump did in front of the White House this week. They both understand what's at stake here for Musk financially. So I see that as a win for all of us. Again, I don't care about all of the other qualifiers that Fox say matter. Fox fake news might say that unless you're, X, Y, and Z, you don't get to be happy. Again, I don't co-sign any of that shit. So for those of us who want to thrive and survive, this is a win. Because if he goes bankrupt, he's out of the picture. It also means that he can't interfere with elections anymore. So he is currently trying to funnel money into the Wisconsin Supreme Court election. And why? So he can turn that seat, right? It's so much. There's just so much to talk about in terms of politics right now. And what I want to do is make it like digestible. Like I don't want to overwhelm anybody. I don't want anybody to ever walk away from this podcast and be like so defeated and so tired. I also don't want to generate clickbait. Okay. I just want to tell you like it is. And I want you to think of me as your neighbor. This is your neighbor telling you what's going on and knowing that your neighbor cares about you. Okay. So that's a win for the rest of us. Okay. The Europeans, Europe, have done a lot to help tank the Tesla market. And that's great. And nobody protests quite like the Europeans. Like they have it locked down. They completely and totally understand the assignment. Black people understand the assignment. It's thanks to, Black people that Target has taken a hit of over $10 billion. The Black community has actively organized to boycott Target. And because of that, they have sent a very strong message about rolling back DEI. And if you don't know what DEI stands for, it's diversity, equity, and inclusion. And if you don't understand what that means, let me give you an example, okay? So I was up for a job once, and it was a technical job. It was one of those jobs that Elon Musk would have outsourced to somebody from another company or another country and brought in on one of those work visas because he thinks that people like myself are too stupid to do that job. Well, as I was applying for this job, I came up against a guy who didn't have my qualifications and wasn't the right person for that job because he lacked the educational qualifications that I had. And because of diversity, equity, and inclusion, they couldn't automatically give that job to the guy just because he was a guy. They had to actually consider me. And when they considered me, they had to weigh my educational qualifications in order to get that job. And I got that job. That job that I never would have gotten if it weren't for diversity, equity, and inclusion. A qualified person actually has to be hired because of DEI. That's what that does right there. I realize that by talking about things in real terms, I'm going to invite criticism in the comments, and I can take that up until a certain point. But I'm not going to tolerate propaganda on the channel. I'm not going to tolerate racism. I'm not going to tolerate hating one religion over another either. So there are bounds here. And the litmus test for this channel and what gets to be said in the comments is hate. If it promotes hate or cruelty or inequality, it doesn't remain on the channel. So all of that being said, I don't even remember where I was with that, but that's diversity, equity, inclusion. Donald Trump's cabinet is full of people who are completely and 100% unqualified. And that is why they pushed out diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's why they got rid of it. Because heaven forbid you actually hire people that are qualified for the position instead of, people that you owe favors to because they've donated to your campaign. All right, now let's talk about the firing of federal employees. So, one of the key tenets of Project 2025, the thing that Donald Trump said he didn't know anything about, but then the video leaked from one of the Project 2025 co-founders who was like, "Oh, he's just saying that. He absolutely knows what it is." Well, he absolutely knows what it is because on day one, Elon Musk has sought since day one to implement the key tenet, which is to get rid of federal employees and install people that are politically loyal to Donald Trump, right? So for Fox News, fake news, they wanted to frame it as fraud, waste, and abuse. So it's propaganda. It's a talking point to say that these people are doing this under the guise of eliminating fraud, waste, and abuse. If there was actual fraud, waste, and abuse, first of all, it would take maybe a year to audit an entire federal agency, if not longer, not hours and not days. If it did exist, Elon Musk wouldn't be running from Congress. They've demanded that he show up, that he present the fraud, waste, and abuse, and he won't do it. There's also the Doge website, that was the one that was supposedly put up by these amazing computer programmers, right, that are so smart, except they didn't even put up a secure website, and so it was hacked immediately. Yeah, his little Doge group that supposedly conducted quote unquote audits consisted of computer programmers, most of whom didn't even finish like college, and not auditors and not accountants. That's just facts, right? These same people, one of the federal supervisors who I think was pushed out of their job said that one of the Elon Musk key lieutenants, quote unquote, took his wife and small child and moved into a floor of a federal agency and turned it into their home. Does that sound like somebody who's doing an audit? Does that somebody who cares about fraud, waste, and abuse? No. Another one of these Doge members used her office to film content for her social media because apparently she thinks she's an influencer. So she would model outfits in her office and post it on Instagram. Does that sound to you like somebody who's concerned about fraud, waste, and abuse? Really? I mean, where's the common sense here? Again, it would take years. And again, it's a key tenet of Project 2025 to push people out, install loyalists, because why? They're going to be easier to control. On top of that, it is factually true that 5 of the agencies that Elon Musk has gutted with his little fake team of auditors were investigating his businesses. So when Elon Musk said that if Donald Trump didn't win, he was probably going to prison, and he said that to Tucker Carlson, he wasn't wrong. Okay. But now all of those investigations have stopped because he has gutted the agencies. So he is not making a difference. He is not saving money for the taxpayers. That was never the intention. What he didn't anticipate was people not only protesting him, but people in Europe tanking Tesla. Like people that had their retirement funds invested in Tesla stock have pulled out. It doesn't help that like Warren Buffett is selling off his portfolio. And we're going to talk about tariffs. Okay, so that's what's really going on with the federal agencies. They always said they were going to do away with the Department of Education. Republicans, since Jimmy Carter established the Department of Education, have wanted to do away with the Department of Education. The Department of Education provided grants to fund teacher salaries, provided meals to schools for disadvantaged children. It also investigated if children of color were not treated properly and given a proper education. The Department of Education exists in order to create equality among all children, all of them. And if you're looking to turn a country into a dictatorship, you do not want children to be educated. Because if they are educated, then they are able to get themselves out of poverty and they cannot be a cheap labor source for you.